Nan threw a suitcase on the bed and said, either me or you, but one of us is going.
Whoa.
Because I can't live this way anymore.
Do you have an argument in your marriage that comes up time and time again and you think, why can't we move past this? Have you ever wanted to run from conflict, or do you feel like you can't move at all? Would you like to know what this is all about? What can you do about it? That's the topic of today's interview with Ron Deal about his new book, The Mindful Marriage. Create your best relationship through understanding and managing yourself. Today you will learn why you react to your bride the way you react and how to respond in a healthier way. Now, I need to implement the 4 steps. Okay? So let's try this. Let me give you a real life situation in my life that was handled badly by me, and then I'm going to have you help me navigate it so I don't repeat it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm married to a flight attendant. I take her to work, and then I pick her up, right? Instead of doing what I always do, she gets in the car, and the first thing I say is, Ron, it's great to have you on the show, man. Again, it's always fun. I feel like, I just noticed this. I feel like in the last 5 years, we're starting to see each other's salt and pepper a little bit. Like,
yeah,
you're starting to see, he looks a little seasoned. You look like you actually have lost weight to me.
Well, it must be the gray because I haven't.
Okay. Does my head look rounder or oval? Because that tells you a little bit.
Yes, we are getting older, my friend.
Oh, man. And you know what? Older and wiser, and the books are getting better.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope we're getting wiser. Sometimes
I know.
wonder.
Well, if we're not getting wiser, we got a little problem.
Right. That's right.
Man, it's good to have you on, man. I always know our conversations are going to be fun, and it's always good when you interview guys that you like and you know.
Yes, I agree with that. I do a podcast as well, and some interviews are tough, but when you enjoy talking with somebody, then it's really fun.
And the good news for me is the pressure's on you because I'm just going to ask questions. So
sounds great.
Oh man, I know you're going to deliver. Hey, so let's just jump off here. So you and Nan wrote a book.
Yeah.
And this book is called. Where's the book? Oh, here we go. You and Nan wrote a book, and the book is called The Mindful Marriage.
There you go.
I have it on my computer. And tell us about, so my wife and I have a story, multiple stories of kind of these dips in the relationship. You had a significant dip in your relationship that you almost fell apart. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and how that inspired this book?
So as of today, Nan and I have been married 39 years. Coming up on 40, which is just unbelievable to me. But at year 21, we hit a wall, and it was a big wall. It was not nobody had a moral failure. Nobody had an affair. There was no big addiction hidden under nothing like that. We just hit the wall of, we keep running into the same difficulties and not really knowing how to move around them. The wall of family of origin has always been rearing its ugly head in both of our lives, and in how that brought clash between us. And we navigated well most of the time, but every once in a while that stuff would just get the better of us. And you can put it off and you can sort of find your way around it for a season, I've come to know and understand. But after a while, it gets to where you just can't do it no more. So page 1, chapter 1 of this book, The Mindful Marriage, starts with the story when I walked into our bedroom one evening at year 21, and Nan threw a suitcase on the bed and said, either me or you, but one of us is going.
Whoa.
Because I can't live this way anymore. Now, again, nobody had done anything radical, crazy. It just was this slow build of distress that we could not avoid anymore. Now, keep in mind, I also have come to understand that we are like most couples, and we have tons of fun. We always have loved each other. There was never a day in my life where I didn't love her and she didn't love me. But man, we didn't like each other at certain moments, and we didn't know what to do with those pieces of us. And so mixed in was, giving birth to 3 children, raising our kids, having fun, doing many wonderful things. I was always involved in ministry, marriage, and family, as a matter of fact, to be specific, through those years. And a lot of good was happening in those 21 years. And yet there was this slow boil that got to a place where it was like, for Nan anyway, I can't do this anymore. Now, that was an eye-opener for me. I knew we had some difficulties. I knew we had some struggles. I did not know it had grown to that magnitude in her heart. So that was a bit of a shock. But that day led to a conversation. How do we get some help? And it went like this. This is all page 1 of the book. Get some help. Well, I only trust 2 or 3 people. Call them. I called them. They're not available. Well, who else you got on your list? I said, one guy, he lives in our town, but he's a genius. I've been reading his material for years, but there's no way we're going to get in. He's got a 6-month waiting list. There's no way. She said, call him. We were in his office the next morning at 9 a.m.
Whoa.
Now, that guy is Dr. Terry Hargrave, and
Yep.
his wife Sharon is also a therapist. They are the co-authors with us on this book. What I did not know is that Terry had been working on a model of Christian therapy and helping people grow spiritually in their walk. And that model has now become a worldwide resource that is available for counselors around the world called restoration therapy. There have been
Whoa.
outcome studies at this point in life. As of today, there's been multiple outcome studies on the effectiveness of this thing, multiple books written about it. He's published widely, and it's all been in the academic world. And so we ended up being the recipients of something that is changing the way we do marriage and family ministry and therapy. And little did we know that that's what was happening. Okay. Now fast forward, I become a therapist in this model. I've seen it working with couples, families, blended families, the work that I've been doing for 30 years. And 5 years ago, Nan and I go to Terry and his wife and we say, look, you guys have been writing and publishing widely in the academic world. This has not yet reached the masses.
Yeah.
We would like to help you guys take this message, this model, and bring it down, as Nan says, and put the cookies on the bottom shelf for regular people and
Yep.
make it accessible and usable. And that, my friend, is what the mindful marriage is. I am so high on this material. I've been in marriage and family ministry for 35 years. There is nothing that has affected my personal walk with Jesus or my marriage more than the material in this book. And I didn't come up with any of it, which is why I can brag on it. I've been the recipient of it, and now our job has been the translation of it into something that's user-friendly for the average person, which is why we got 28 professional endorsements on this book. 28.
Whoa.
Like, everybody's recognizing there's something here that we all need to pay attention to. And all we're doing is bringing that message, that model, with our testimony wrapped around it. And that's what the book's about.
Well, and your influence at a grassroots level.
Yes.
I mean, you have street credibility, 35 years. Unfortunately, academia sometimes doesn't bring it down to reality. If you're not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so they get lost in the shuffle. So
That's
what
right.
you're doing is bringing it to people who need it. And it's not the students. It's the marriages.
And what's so beautiful about it is that it is deeply rooted in New Testament theology. It's not just this fly-by-night stuff, but it also incorporates the last 20 years of neuroscience and what we've come to understand how our mind, body, and soul work. And it's just this very fluid, sophisticated model in a very user-friendly package. But the principles are not just limited to marriage. There's a chapter later in the book where we say, now everything you've just learned about you and about usness in relationships, now apply it to parenting, now apply it to leadership, now apply it to your work relationships, apply it to your sex life, apply it to your parenting. It has far-reaching implications. And it's just been a fun time to talk, share these principles, and get them out there.
Well, I'll tell you, Ron, I don't know if you've heard me say this to you before, but my wife and I are coming on 30. We passed 33. We're rounding the 34.
Way to go, guy.
Thank you, man. We're 2 low-maintenance people in a high-maintenance marriage.
There you go. I think that's most people, buddy. I really think that's most.
I don't know, man. I always thought we had something wrong with us, right? And then at year 18, we had that same conversation that you and your bride had. My wife said, hey, we need help. I don't know what's going on, but I am not doing well. We took a survey. I scored a whopping 89. We're doing awesome. She scored a 32.
Yeah.
And so being the fix-it guys that we are, we stepped in. So, and our family of origin, man, it's we are prepare and rich facilitators. And so our family of origin is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
And so I want to dive into this because I am so intrigued by what you're doing here. So let's talk about what is, I know this is a loaded question, but what is inherently, in its essence, restoration therapy?
Okay, so when you're good, you're good. Here's what I mean by that. All of us, especially people who are trying to follow Jesus as king, He is our way. He's the path. Every Sunday we get a good sermon. It tells us, hey, Ron, put on gentleness in how you deal with people. Yes, I'm going to do that. And we walk out with a new vision, a new vigor, a renewed freshness to our spirit about how we should live well and live right and love the people in our homes and in our lives. And most of us get it right a high percentage of the time, especially when we're highly motivated towards doing that. But like the Apostle Paul in Romans 7, where he says, I keep doing this stuff I don't want to do anymore. What is that all about? My flesh has somehow got a hold of me, and it pulls me in the wrong directions, even though I know better. What is that mechanism? We now have a better understanding of that, not only theologically, but neurologically, than we've ever had in the history of mankind. And I think that part of what's going on there is the neurological ruts that have been formed inside me that keep pulling me back to the same old wrong places. This is the way Dr. Hargrave puts it. Ron, you're good most of the time, but when you're bad, you're really, really bad. We lose our religion. You ever heard that phrase? I think lost Israel. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. We lose the way that we're trying to follow. And just like Paul, it's like, I don't even like this guy that I become in those moments when I'm frustrated or angry with my wife, for example. Why do I do that? How do I stop doing that? And we sort of say, well, I'm going to do better next time, but we fall into the same rut. Well, there's a reason for that. There's an explanation for that. And there's a pathway out. And it has everything to do with renewing your mind. And that is the New Testament prescription for how we are to begin to change and become increasingly like Jesus. Now, there's lots of details around how we actually put on the new mind. But the process is given to us clearly in God's Word. We just have to figure out the details. And that's what I think Dr. Hargrave has hit upon unlike anybody else.
So this renewing your mind, Romans 12, 1 and 2.
Yep.
You also see it in the pastoral epistles where Paul talks about the prudent man. He uses the word sophron, which literally in the literal language means safe mind.
Yes.
And so how does neurological dysregulation play into this?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little story. What I've come to know about me is that I grew up in a loving Christian family. My dad was an evangelist. I started knocking doors when I was 10 years of age, telling people about Bible studies that were going to happen. Started leading Bible studies in other people's homes when I was a teenager.
Whoa.
I spent my whole summers doing that. And this is our family, right? Loving Christian family, 3 siblings. I never went a day in my life where I didn't feel love. Now, Nan's story is very, very different than mine. But let's just talk about me. I always felt loved, but I felt safe most of the time, but there was this question mark that loomed over me in my life. And that was, if I didn't live up to the Deal family expectations, if I disappointed my father, if by not living right, by not performing well in school, on the baseball field, on and on and on it goes, that I might potentially lose his love, because it did seem like there were high expectations. And man, if you didn't hit it, you knew about it, okay? So there's this question mark about, we'll call it emotional safety, right? Okay. You just said a safe mind.
100%.
That turns out to be really critical for relationships. Yes, we got to love each other, but if you're not safe, it doesn't matter how much you love somebody. They won't feel warm and close and connected to you. And so there was a safety question for me. And what I learned to do to cope with that was to perform really well. I worked super hard on the field and baseball, and really my moral living even as a teenager was, I tried to live it up. And if I ever disappointed or knew Dad would be disappointed, I didn't let him know about those things. Like, I hid that stuff. Okay, so Nan and I get married. Guess what? That little mechanism in me, anytime I felt unsafe in our relationship, the same thing kicks in. There's a neurological reason for that. The neurons that fire together, wire together. You may have heard that before.
No, I never have.
A lot of people are talking about this these days. It all comes out of the same body of research. The neurons that fire together, wire together. From the time you're born, even pre-birth, and your brain is developing, there are connections that are firing. Such that, imagine a little child who, every time it makes a sound, like it's hungry or it's, needing some diaper change, and a parent comes and looks at this child and then looks away and ignores it. Well, what's happening in the child's brain is that it's trying to make sense of all this, and there's little neurons going, ooh, I just felt pain, so I cried, and I didn't get anybody to come to my aid. And
Whoa.
those little series of neurons have fired off together. And the child says, well, I just need to cry louder. I just need to yell louder. I just need to lose myself and get all discombobulated here. And maybe somebody will come back to me. And so what the child is learning is not only when pain is felt, I do these things. I cope by doing these actions. Fast forward that experience throughout childhood. We carry that right into marriage. And anytime I feel any sense of threat, wait a minute, are you there for me? Can I count on you? Can I trust you? That's what the infant was asking, although it couldn't have even put words on it.
Yeah.
Now, as a 25-year-old, I'm asking that about my wife when she gets angry and she turns her back. And I'm thinking, man, I can't rely on her to be there for me. So I just need to get louder. I need to cry louder. I need to be more obnoxious. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We fall back on these same coping mechanisms that were developed as young children. Now, there's a child expression of that, and there's an adult expression of that. We know adults are going to basically do fight or flight, and that's going to look like 4 different things: blame, shame, control, or escape. I'm going to blame my wife for the reason you turned your back on me. This is about you. That's what blame does. Shame says, oh, there must be something about me. That's why she turned her back. Control says, well, I'm going to criticize you. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to motivate you to do better. Or I'm going to control me and make it so you won't ever turn your back on me. I'm going to perform so well. That's what I did as a kid. And then escape is, fine, if you're turning your back on me, I'm just going to go eat ice cream, or I'm going to go watch porn, or I'm going to go gamble, or there's about 2,000 different things you can escape into.
Yeah.
But it's all pain management, right? So blame, shame, control, and escape is an effort to stop whatever this painful moment is. And right now it's you turning your back on me. Well, guess what? So if Nan feels disappointed in me and turns her back in discomfort, and I go, well, fine, I'm just going to blame you for this situation. Do you think that makes her want to turn her back toward me? Do you think it makes her feel safe? No. Now she feels unsafe. And she goes into blame, shame, control, and escape. And guess what? Her triggers, my trigger, your trigger, and all we do is bring out the worst of us.
Yep.
Here's the challenge. Can I, in my worst moments, when I'm dysregulated is the neurological term. It's when I'm feeling anxious or distressed or upset about anything going on in life or in this relationship. In those moments, can I put on self-control, slow down my reactivity, choose a different decision, a different pathway, and put on, this is the language of the New Testament, take off my old and put on my new in my worst moment. I can do that in my good moments because I have enough wherewithal to manage that. It's in my worst moments that I need help. That's where it's really, really tough.
So Shannon and I did the reactive cycle.
Okay.
I am all day long a blame, and she's all day long a control.
Isn't that interesting? And you can find out, just tell our listeners, our viewers, there's an online version of the assessment in the book. There's an online version you can do for free. Love to have you go on and do that. We'll put the link in the show notes.
We'll put the link on in the notes, but what's the address right now in case these guys are...
It's go to rondeal.org/reactive coping style. That's what you're learning about, is what is your reactive coping style. Are you blame, shame, control, escape, or all 4 or 2 of them? That's what you'll discover.
It's super easy to figure out.
Yeah.
It's really good to figure. So we've got this reactive style. We've got this dysregulation when we're feeling, my lay term is confabulated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we revert back to this. So explain to me why, and I know the answer here, but you broke the book up into parts, the old self and the new self.
Yeah.
And you explain that and how that relates to dysregulation.
Yeah. So it really, at the end of the day, this gets into this, why does my flesh take over and I become somebody I don't like? Well, neurologically, we call them ruts but it's a neurological pathway gets written in your brain. Let me pull back for a second. Your brain is such a magnificent creation by God. Everybody listening to us right now, in your own home, in the middle of the night, you get up, you got to go to the bathroom. You don't have to turn on lights. You can walk there and you can dodge chairs and couches and the end of your bed and the corner into the restroom you don't need lights because why? Because you have neurological ruts in your brain that tell you how to navigate that space.
Great illustration.
When your brain learns something, it grabs it and holds on to it. This is why we all drive.
Wow.
You remember when you were 15 learning to drive? How many times you had to, a blinker and
it was rough.
My brights and my right foot, my left foot, like steering wheel, like where do I look in my mirrors? Like, yes, it's rough. And now we just do it all.
Yep.
This is the beauty of our brains. It learns systems, develops pathways that basically automatically respond to life without you having to be consciously thinking about every little decision. This is the same reason your heart beats and you didn't make it. It's the same reason you just took a breath and you didn't actually consciously think about taking a breath. Your brain knows how to do this stuff. Now, here's the deal. When you learn, when people reject me, I need to blame, shame, control, or escape in order to make that pain go away. When you learn that from the time you're teeny tiny, you will carry that with you your entire life. And there are certain little patterns that we develop that you hold on to. Now, there's a lot of ways we can react, but most of us have 3 or 4 or 5 key ways that we react anytime we feel a measure of distress. And once you know what that is, guess what? You have just uncovered a massive portion of your flesh, the stuff that holds us back in our old selves, the stuff that makes us unbecoming of a follower of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And that's why we can get so frustrated with it, because we don't want to be those people. Right. Because the old self just takes over. The good news is Jesus is trying to create a new self in you. Mm-hmm. And every day of your walk in discipleship, he's trying to make you more and more like him and less like you, especially that old part of you that's just been lingering. And so we use our mind. Listen to this, the language of Romans 12. You renew your mind so you can renew your brain. Your brain comes second. It's your mind that comes first. Your mind tells your brain how it needs to change. When you renew your mind and take action, obedience is very important, because when you get your feet involved, your body involved, it helps your brain to rewire neural pathways in the direction of your new self, away from your old self. When Romans 12 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, it literally includes, now we get and understand, it literally means you are remapping down to the neural pathways of your brain a new self. I find that incredibly redeeming and rejuvenating, and how exciting. The challenge is, how do I get from a good sermon, I know truth, to how do I live it?
Yes.
Do truth. There's a gap there. That's what we teach, the 4-step process, to help you go, okay, I now know what my old pain cycle, we call it, looks like. I now have a sense of where I'm headed in my peace with Jesus. How do I bridge the gap? That's where the work is. That's where the transformation comes. But when you get it, the more you do it, the more you practice, the more you practice, the more you practice, the more you practice. Just like learning to hit a golf club or golf ball, the easier and easier it gets to be your new self. And the less likely it is that you're reactive in your old self. And all of a sudden, you're a better person, a better father, a better worker, a better friend, a better husband. That means you're bringing a different you to the usness of your relationship. And that's going to help transform the relationship forward.
Yeah, I'm
on that. React to it.
I am chewing right now. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really because when I get a guy on the show like you, Ron, I want to bring it to life. I want to, for me, I'm a blame guy.
Yeah.
She's a control person, and it's been that way for 33 years. So I'm listening to you. I'm going, okay, I need to fix our usness as a couple.
Yeah.
We're like the Bickersons.
Okay.
We're the smack talkers. So we've got this identity that is, and we have a healthy marriage, but this part of our identity is unhealthy.
Okay, so I got an idea.
Yes.
Let me give you a very practical example out of my life. Mm-hmm. And then if you want, we could chase what would this look like potentially for you in your marriage.
Yeah, I think this is good because our listeners love it when I get picked on, because it's bringing boots on the ground to them, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do I help this? Well, let's work on Ramos. Great marriage. Love my wife. We just love each other to pieces.
Yeah.
But on the we're preparing rich counselors. So we are a conventional couple.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that's like third out of five, right?
I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we, and the conventional couple is because of the blame control cycle.
Dude, I'm telling you, this stuff can transform. You don't have to stay conventional. Okay, hang with me. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
So again, the book is our living testimony of who we are. And when we're doing conferences, by the way, mindful marriage conferences for churches. We are laying out our lives in front of everybody to help invite them into that same journey. And we have committed to being so real. I just want to say this. I think a lot of, myself included, marriage and family educators and pastors, we're really good at telling stories of 80 years ago, stuff that doesn't matter anymore. We're not so good at telling today. And Nan and I have committed, if we have a pain cycle on the airplane going to our destination to speak, we tell that story that night. We're living it in real time because this is where we grow up as the body of Christ. I think we help each other. Okay, so back to my little story.
I love that. We call it our pain cycle. Oh, so, we had a pain cycle. My kids go, that sounds like an argument, Mom.
That's right. So in the past, my old self, hypersensitivity in me to disappointment in other people. I didn't want to disappoint my dad. I don't want to disappoint my wife. Okay. My other little pain point is inadequacy. I hate the idea that I'm not enough as a worker, as a husband, as a whatever. So when I see disappointment in Nan's eyes, my old self would go, wait a minute, I need to get rid of this because right now our usness is in jeopardy. She's not disappointed in me. So what I need to do is blame, shame, control, escape. I happen to be a really good blame controller. Okay. Those are my two go-tos. And I kind of use them in concert with one another. If one doesn't work, I'll go to the other one. So the blame thing is I would counter blame. But no, wait a minute. You don't understand. That's what defensiveness is. If I will tell her, no, this is not about your disappointment in me. This is about your unrealistic expectations. See how I'm turning that against her. And now what I'm doing is, listen to this. This is going to make you laugh. I'm trying to argue her into liking me. How stupid is that? See, this whole thing about this pain reactivity thing, there's nothing logical about it. There's nothing realistic about it. It is reactivity. By definition, it doesn't even have any brain thoughtfulness in it. Literally, when you're dysregulated, your prefrontal cortex has gone offline. What has kicked in is what's called the limbic system. Sometimes the amygdala is that thing we pull out and talk about. It's the limbic. It's the part of you that does not have to think. It only reacts. It's the same part of you that kicks in if you see a rattlesnake on the ground. It's the same part of you that kicks in when you're driving and somebody crosses the double yellow line into your lane. It's the same thing that kicks in. You don't have to call a committee together in that scenario and decide what to do. You're going to fight or flight now. And your limbic system takes over and takes charge, and it saves your life. We are grateful for the limbic system. But here's the thing, Jim. My limbic system does not know the difference between somebody crossing the double yellow line, a rattlesnake, or my wife's criticism. It does not know the difference.
Whoa.
Your limbic system does not know the difference between your father's criticism your whole life and your boss saying you blew it. It does not know the difference. Your brain does not know the difference between your mother, once again, yelling at you, or somebody coming at you with a knife in a dark alley. Your brain only does two things in those moments, fight or flight. Those two things have four expressions: blame, shame, control, escape. It's predictable. Everybody on the planet gets dysregulated every single day of their life and does one of these four things, and they often don't even have any idea it's happening. I did it and had no idea. So Nan would show disappointment. I would go into counter blame, and now we're in an argument, and what's happening? Both of us are reacting at the other. No one is taking responsibility for themselves or managing their own pain. I make her the steward of my pain. Oh, wait a minute. I see your disappointment. I've got to get her to like me again. Then I won't feel this pain anymore. So my objective now is to make Nan different. Do you think she likes me trying to make her different? No. All it does is make things worse.
Based on personal experience?
You got it. Like, see, this is when our old self, our worst part of us, that why do I keep on doing those dumb things that I don't want to do? That's when it comes out, because your limbic system literally does not think. It goes into fight or flight. That's all it knows to do. The trick is to go, wait a minute, limbic system, now you go offline. Let me turn my brain prefrontal cortex back on, the part of me that thinks and ponders and says, wait a minute. Jesus says I need to be gentle. I need to be self-controlled. I need to be thoughtful and kind. And how do I bring kindness into this hard moment? That is where transformation takes place. So for me, what I've learned to do, here's the 4 steps. I see disappointment in Nan's eyes, and maybe I react quickly, and I go, whoa, time out. Let me do my steps. And she'll just look at me while I think. And I say out loud 4 things. Right now, I am feeling inadequate. I'm feeling your disapproval. And step 2, Nan, you know what that makes me usually do is get defensive, and you just saw it. Step 3, what's the truth? Okay, objectively, the truth is, well, God loves me even though I am inadequate, and it's actually okay because he's redeeming and making me new, and ultimately I'm all right. And here's another truth that I'm coming to learn. You can be disappointed in me, and it won't ruin us. You won't leave me. You're committed. You're not going anywhere. I don't know why I get so crazy about that. That's all truth. So step 4. So what I'm going to do different right here, right now, I'm going to stop being defensive. I'm going to try to listen. I'm going to try to be curious about what you're saying. I'm going to try to understand it better and understand you better. And I'm going to try not to be reactive. Let's take another run at this. Please continue. Now, here's what's just happened. I've turned my brain back on. The process of talking through the old self, that's steps 1 and 2, and the new I am trying to become, and then doing it, helps to turn on prefrontal cortex and helps me move into the new person I'm trying to become, not reactive, responding, listening, not arguing, sitting in the truth of I'm okay, even if she's disappointed. I don't have to crazy here. I can manage me. And this moment's going to be all right. I'm talking myself through responding out of love. And the second thing that's happening is she's hearing me say those 4 steps out loud. So guess what? Part of what the part of the pain cycle for all couples is we look at one another's specs. You know, Matthew 7, Jesus said, quit worrying about spec, deal with the log. That's exactly what we're doing here. So instead of me being an expert on her specs in her eye and me trying to change that little thing in her, I am redirecting and telling her, Ron is dealing with his logs now. Ron is trying to grow up and not be a little infant anymore, a reactive little crazy kid. Ron's trying to be a 59-year-old man, and he's going to put on self-control and manage himself. Guess what that does for Nan? It takes her off the hook. She no longer has to deal with my specs because Ron's dealing with his own stuff. That creates this dynamic where their partner can go, well, if Ron's dealing with Ron, I guess maybe I should deal with myself instead of Ron.
Yeah.
And that invites her subtly to go, yeah, what do I need to manage? What's the log in my eye right now? And now you have 2 partners putting on a better self. Our little motto is learning how to put on self-control in my worst moments so I can bring a better me to the next moment. Now I'm calm. Now I'm ready to engage out of a spirit of love. Now I'm bringing a better gentleness to the equation rather than reactivity and harshness to the equation. That's bound to give us a chance to have a conversation that is productive rather than one that is destructive. And if I do that 4 steps 50 times, that seems to be the magic number. If I do that over and over, walking through the day, in the middle of a hard argument, over and over, I practice. I can finally swing that club and hit that golf ball, and I don't have to think about it anymore because my brain has rewired toward the new and away from the old. Now, isn't that fascinating? Jesus doesn't want to just renew us like in some ethereal sort of way. He wants to renew us down to the neurological pathways in our body, and this is how you get there.
Wow. You know, and you're talking Romans 1 and 2, 12, 1 and 2.
The other passages are Colossians 3, take off the old, put on the new. Philippians 4 says the same thing. Galatians 5 and 6 say the same thing.
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place.
It's all over.
What gets me going is Romans chapter 12, verse 3. 12, verse 3, not 2, Paul uses that word sophron again. and that safe mind concept again. And so, okay, so we've heard, when I'm going through, help me understand this. I think I'm understanding this. When I'm having a moment of emotional dysregulation, I'm going to blame, control, shame, or what's the fourth one? Blame, control, shame.
Blame,
Escape.
shame, control, escape.
Yeah, one of those things. For me, it is blame.
Okay.
And I need to, so I once I'm going through, I go, okay, I'm identifying, I'm getting disconfobulated, I'm getting dysregulated here. Now I need to implement the 4 steps. Okay. So let's try this, because I think this will be really helpful. Let me give you a real life situation in my life
Good.
that was handled badly
Okay.
by me. And then I'm going to have you help me navigate it so I don't repeat it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm married to a flight attendant. She works about an hour and 15 minutes from our house.
Okay.
So every so often we do what's called a queen drop off, where I just bless her. I take her to work and then I pick her up. Right. Okay. So in this particular instance, I'd taken her to work and she was coming home on a Saturday night from work. And I'm at the house. I'm watching the Ducks play Penn State in a high value football game. Right.
Gotcha.
And so I'm watching the game and I realize I've got to leave. So I get in the car. It's third quarter. I'm driving to Portland. I'm listening to the radio. I'm getting the updates on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So I haven't seen her for 2 or 3 days now.
Okay.
I'm excited to see her. I've got this Ducks game playing. I get to the airport. The airport is packed. I mean, usually we've been doing this so long. We're the experts at picking each other up.
Yeah.
Our standard routine is I pull up to the curbside. I get out of my car. I put her bags in. I get her in the car, give her a kiss, and we leave, right? So open the door for the whole 9 yards. In this particular instance, the place was packed. And I drive a Dodge 1500 Ram, right? A big truck. So I can't get into the spot, all right? I want you to see the scenario here.
I gotcha. You're
so
frustrated with that?
I'm a little bit frustrated here. I can't get in the spot, but I want to get my wife. Haven't seen her. I miss her. So I pull in kind of two lanes off the curb. And I say, honey, I can't get out. There's cars behind me. You got to do it, right? So she comes in. She opens the door, puts her bags in. It's a lifted truck. She climbs up in it. She gets in the car. And the first thing I say is, man, that Ducks game is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then so she's already had to open the door, put the bags in. And my wife is not a prissy, but that's what she's used to me doing.
I gotcha.
So now instead of doing what I always do, I don't do what I always do. And the first thing I say when she gets in the car is, hey, how about that football game?
Yeah, right. Okay.
So now she
What's her
reacts to
reaction?
that. She reacts with control, her control, and she gets ticked. And then I get ticked at her getting ticked. And we literally drove an hour ride home. We didn't talk to each other once.
I got it.
Okay, so there we go. That's an honest, bad Jim moment.
So one of the things we're going to eventually do is chase her pain. But right now, we're going to start with yours.
Yep.
Okay? So when you said, boy, that's a great Ducks game, and she responds with anger, right? Is that what you said? She
Pretty
responds with anger. Do you remember how you felt? What was the message that you felt?
The message, well, what I relayed to her is I drove, again, this is on me, not her.
No,
my
go ahead.
wife's amazing. I'm putting all the blame on me here, but what I said to her was, hey, I dropped you off 3 days ago. That's an hour and a half turnaround, 3 hour turnaround for me. Right. And I'm doing another 3 hour turnaround for you. And you get in the car and you get mad at me because of the Ducks game.
Right.
You do not appreciate what I did for you.
Okay. So there was, you didn't feel appreciated.
Yes.
You're not feeling loved.
Yes.
You're not feeling cared for in that moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Taken advantage of.
Let's pause right there just for a second. Let me tell your listeners and viewers, nearly everything in relationships boils down to love and trust. Trust, those two things give us different things. Love gives us a sense of identity. You can think of a child growing up in a home. In my home, my identity was tied to pleasing dad. I felt love. I felt when that pleasure was connected, right? So my identity is strong. Well, no, it's actually very weak. My identity is tied up in, am I pleasing?
Yes.
This tells me my worth, my value to this other person. And so therefore, that's what I'm chasing. When I see disappointment, I've lost. Trust, the second component, is can I depend on you? Can you depend on me? Do we have a mutually giving and receiving relationship? trust gives us a sense of emotional safety. So this is, can I trust you to be there for me?
Yes.
We know everybody's got a story, or they know somebody with a story that, you had parents who didn't show up for you, or maybe they were hit or miss, or boy, they could have been in a bottle when you needed them most. And so at the end of the day, you didn't know you were safe with that person ever, right? And so there's these two questions. Now, the Beatles sang, all you need is love, but they lied. Because if you don't have trust, you have nothing in a relationship. So safety and love are the two things we're constantly pursuing. And oh, by the way, this is true of our relationship with God, which is why the scriptures go to such great lengths to tell us the steadfast love of the Lord endures forever. Love and safety. You have a God who will never leave you or forsake you. That's Hebrews. What's that speaking to? The fact that you can depend on his faithfulness. That's the safety component. Like, we need both of these things in relationships. So in that moment, you were feeling unloved. That triggered something in you that you felt before. Now, we probably don't have time to chase what were some significant relationships in your life when you didn't feel loved and cared for? My guess is you could tell us a few stories.
Well, it's very simple. It's basically same as yours, just a performance-based, driven dad, which is fine, but that's what I got used to. So it kind of goes back to performance thing.
So this is a perfect example of you were performing for your wife and she said not good enough.
100%.
And you felt unappreciated and unloved. Do you see how this taps into one core theme in your life? This is not about driving 3 hours. This is about, are you loved?
Interesting.
And anytime that is triggered, you will go into blame, shame, control, or escape unless you learn how to insert self-control into the equation. And it doesn't matter if it's your wife or your boss or your best friend or somebody that's deeply important to you. When you feel that lack of appreciation, when you feel them saying to you, you didn't cut it, buddy, you didn't perform on it, sorry, didn't get there, you're going to have this same mechanism. It's not dependent on your wife. And here's the important thing that we're saying right now. Realize this. This thing that rises up in you is not about your wife. This is about.
So let me just say this real quick, because she experienced the same thing on the other end.
That's exactly right. That's why we're going to chase her pain.
He didn't open the door. He was three lanes away from the curb.
He didn't love me.
Load my stuff. And the first thing he said was, man, that football game.
Yes.
So now I've triggered the same thing in her.
We unpack all of this in the book, but
oh man.
So this stuff about, do I feel loved, is about, am I important? Am I valued? Like, I know I'm valued when he gets out of the car and comes around. But right in this moment, but here's what's crazy about triggers. You could make a case and say, but I do drive up to the curb and I've done this 1,000 times. Why does this one negate the other previous?
Yes.
Because your brain doesn't know the difference between a rattlesnake and your wife's criticism. In that moment, the past record makes no difference to your brain. Your brain doesn't think when it's in the limbic system. It only reacts. This is craziness, but this is why the old flesh comes out of us.
Wow.
So for you, there's a love trigger. For her, there seems to be a love trigger. And there might be a few more layers to this we could unpack over time.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting the idea.
Yes.
And now you know what your vulnerability is. So your pain cycle starts with feeling unloved, and it ends up in you reacting into blame. For her, it erupts into criticism, it sounds like, or something like that.
Yeah.
Control.
Yes.
Now you know that about you. Dude, you just figured out half the problem.
Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. You're going to fix me this. You're going to fix that drive home.
Okay.
So what should I have done? Let's work through the steps. Let's work through the steps so I don't. We know it's already happened.
Yes,
but let's
I love
pretend
it.
I can do a do-over.
Okay,
So what should I have done?
let's imagine you're in the car. You're both steaming, fuming, silent. By the way, that's the escape part. We withdraw into silence, emotional disconnect. So you started with a blame. You also add a withdraw into escape. And nobody's talking to anybody. And let's say 10 minutes goes by. And all of a sudden, you say, okay, what do I know about me? And you start going your 4 steps. Number 1, you say the pain that you feel. Step 2 is the thing that you already do. In other words, this is the old self. Okay.
What is step 1? What's
Step 1 is say your pain. Say your pain.
Say your pain.
So for you, say your pain would be, I'm feeling like I'm not loved and not good enough. Now notice, you're not saying, and honey, you're to blame because here's the evidence that it, nope, you just short, sweet, you're saying your pain so that you can say step 2. And what I usually do with that, that's what step 2 is. Here's what I do with that. My coping is I blame you. And I've already done it. Step 3. Now we're going to get recentered in what we're calling a regulating truth that's going to move you in a new direction. Now, regulating truth comes from different sources. There's different things that go into this. The capital T truth is God's truth. And anytime I get upset about something, I always got to fall back on God's truth, because my truth in that moment is going to be completely selfish, going to be completely, self-centered and self-preserving. Yeah, I don't trust myself at all when I get dysregulated, and nobody should. I go, wait a minute, what's the capital T truth that God's telling me about me? Here, that's the important piece. Am I loved? See, you're feeling unloved, so you have to say, what's the truth about whether or not I'm loved? You're going to take a piece of God's truth and speak directly to the pain you're feeling in the moment. And would you say God loves you?
Yes.
You know that. Like everybody,
100%.
Anybody understands that.
Yep.
Even when I'm screwed up, even when I mess up, yep, he loves me. So you always start with, but God loves me. And here's what I'm coming to learn. Honey, you love me. As a matter of fact, the reason you're irritated with me, I'm coming to understand, is that you desperately want a relationship with me, and you are feeling unloved, and that's why so you love me. And I can hold that right now. I need to remind myself, God loves me. That's permanent. You're here. You love me. That's good. I'm going to hold on to that. That's step 3. So step 4. So what I'm going to do now different based on that truth. Here's the new me. Here's the new thing. What I'm going to do now is, and imagine you're saying all this out loud. Again, you're signaling to your wife, I'm dealing with my log. I'm moving to a better place. I'm trying to bring a better me to our usness. And she's hearing you say all this. It's helping her reorient around who you're trying to become. And so the 4th step may sound like, and so I want to start over. And I just want to say, even as I've been talking through this, I'm reminded, I think I know why you were feeling unloved. Is that what you were feeling? And all of a sudden, the conversation has shifted out of you being protecting of yourself to you being a listener, and it's bringing something new to the equation. Now you're gentle. Notice your tone has dropped. You're getting more controlled. You're bringing a softness rather than a hard, reactivity. A lot of things are shifting as you're working those 4 steps and saying them out loud, and then beginning to put the 4th step into action. We actually lead everybody in the book through a series of exercises. Well, you will end up mapping your pain cycle. Your spouse will do theirs. You will put them together and you'll go, oh my gosh, no wonder we get into craziness. Everyone, that's it. It's right there on paper. And then you will map, but this is truth. This is what I'm learning about me. And this is what I want to do in circumstances based on that truth. You will put it all right down in the book. It's kind of a workbook. And the 2 of you will be talking through this in such a way that by the time you get to the end, you know exactly what you're supposed to do in those moments. And they're going to keep coming. The triggers keep coming. This side of heaven, they don't stop. You will feel that pain over and over of feeling unloved, but you will not always end up responding the same way because you're being transformed.
So why, again, should I say these things out loud?
Number 1,
that sounds like a real important step.
It's a huge step. People will push back and say, I'd just rather think it than say it. Yeah, I wish you could, but there's 2 things going on. First, you're signaling to your spouse. You're telling your wife, I'm dealing with my log. I'm trying to be different. Because, hey, look, by this time, you know exactly what she's going to do, and she knows exactly.
Oh, yeah.
The pattern is set, and you guys are not dumb to that awareness. So to signal I am doing something different is important. Otherwise, the other person just assumes we're in the same rut. Do you see how critical that is?
Yep.
But the other part of it is more neurological for you. When you say something out loud, you actually activate prefrontal cortex. You make the thinking part of your brain actually begin to come back online. And so as you work through the 4 steps, saying them out loud, you're turning off your reactive limbic system. You're turning on the thinking part of your brain, and you are preaching to yourself something you need to then obey.
Yeah.
That is so critical. We often listen to ourselves negativity. If we preach the truth to ourselves more often, then we can actually do it a little bit easier. So the mechanism of saying it out loud is turning my brain back on, slowing me down, helping me refocus. Oh, this is what I need to do in this moment. And I'm in the process telling my wife, I'm trying to be new. Give me a minute. I'm trying to get there. Even if you change, even if she never does anything different, you're changing the dance between you, because the dance can't be the same if you're different.
Yes, correct.
So there's power in the one person changing them. There's great power in this. What did Jesus say? The end of Matthew 7, quit worrying about the speck, you deal with the log, and then you may be able to help your friend. When I deal with my log in these moments, I become an asset to Nan, not the person who is blame, shame, control, or escaping Nan. I become a helper to Nan. But the first thing I got to do is get in charge of me.
Yes.
Jim, most of us spend our entire married life. I'm about to say something. I'm absolutely convinced of this. And I actually think a lot of our marriage material that we've taught through the years with good intentions has inadvertently contributed to what I'm about to say. Most of us spend our entire married life convinced that the problem with us is the other person. And not having any idea how much my own reactivity is enslaving me to my old self. And I'm trying to change me by changing you. And that never works. Never.
No.
Not only does it inflame and trigger them into their blame, shame, control, escape reactivity, not only does that do that, but even if you could manipulate your spouse into going, oh, honey, you're right. You're not a bad guy. You love me so well. Thanks for showing up and picking me up at the airport today. You will feel better for all of 5 minutes. And the next time she feels unloved and gets sharp and reactive at you, you're going to do the exact same thing you've always done. Even if we get our spouse to, quote, fix us, it only lasts for a moment. It's not transformative is what I'm saying.
Yes.
It doesn't rewire your brain. It doesn't change who you are. It makes you dependent on them parenting you. When she goes, oh, honey, you're really okay. You really are a good guy. She's parenting you. And it doesn't help you feel loved and respond out of love and decide, separate and apart from my wife's criticism, I am loved and I need to act like it. It doesn't transform you. That only happens when you change.
Well, and it sounds like we're applying this to marriage, but it sounds like we need to practice this in all of our relationships, because relationships are about conflict.
That's right.
Responding appropriately, and I'm very aware when I do that wrong, because I tell myself, I have a mental, man, that was a wrong response. I know. And so this is so you talk about all these relationships. How many times a day do you think we need to be, how many times a day do you think we can expect to practice these 4 steps?
Okay. So when Nan and I were at our worst, we were kind of constantly dysregulated at our worst. It was, now we could look at each other and smile, but there were, we really didn't feel comfortable or safe with one another. It was a constant sense of, man, this thing, we're just tense. We're just at each other. Even if it's unsaid, we both knew that. So I would say it's an all day, every day thing to try to figure out how to put on self-control in the midst of that. Now, the average couple walking through life, maybe once or twice a day, your boss looks at you and you feel, wow, I guess I'm inadequate. I didn't quite measure up. They told me I just screwed up, and I'm feeling really horrible about myself. And the shame hits and you go into the same pattern. It doesn't matter where it comes from. The trigger is the trigger. Now, when it comes from a spouse or a child or a parent, somebody very near and dear to us, it has a double-edged sword to it, right? Yeah. It really cuts deep. But the triggers really pretty much are the same no matter what context we're in.
You know what I just realized, Ron? Maybe I'm wrong on this, but Could you frame this in a verbal prayer, these 4 steps?
Absolutely. In
I
fact,
mean, to me, that makes sense instead of talking to myself, because I'm
Yes.
afraid I'm going to answer myself back,
Yeah.
but put this in a form of a prayer. To me, that makes more sense.
dude, we got an appendix called the humility shift, and it is in effect a prayer that we invite people. Once you map your pain and your peace cycles, and you got all 4 things, you can actually just sort of fill in the little blanks on that prayer. And we invite people in the midst of your transformation. You've got to get familiar with the old part of you and the part you're trying to become. And so every day, sit down, just say this little prayer out loud. You're reminding yourself of what's true about you and how you're reorienting your life around that truth and how you're going to behave when the pain kicks in. And just say that humility shift every day. And the reason we call it a humility shift is because when I'm focused on Nan's speck, I'm in a posture of pride. I'm basically saying that, in fact, that's what Jesus calls it in Matthew 7. Why do you judge the other? I'm basically saying, oh, babe, you're so screwed up. But I see the world just right. And I know exactly what you need to do to change you. And I'm rising above her in pride. Yeah. That invites more argument. In fact, Proverbs says, pride just invites arguments. You bet it does. But the humility shift says, no, I got a log. And I've always got to start with me. That's always the first step. Even if I feel like, man, I've got 5% of this fight. She's got 95% of it. Well, I need to deal with my 5%, and I need to deal with it right now. That's always the place to start. So there's a shift and putting on humility when I take ownership of how I'm responding right here, right now in my worst self. And I'm telling you, I mean, is it instant fix everything in every marriage? And no, because life's still hard and difficulty, and there's water under the bridge, and there's things that you got to begin to work through. But we can never be constructive about working through those things if I'm in my reactive self. Yeah. I won't bring anything good to the equation. So the process starts with me putting me in a better place. You put you in a better place. Now we can be reasonable. Now we can be decent, if not loving. Of course, loving is the ultimate goal. Yeah. But at least I can be reasonable as we work towards repair of our relationship.
It's interesting. I was just thinking about picking Shan up at the airport and how she reacted to my comment. And I think of Jesus, when people came to him with pride, he brought the law.
He did.
Hard. And when people came to him with humility, he brought grace. And so I think there's something there. And I'm going through Philippians verse by verse in my own personal devotional. And I read Philippians 2:3 today. Yes. Paul says, take this attitude of Christ. And then I was reminded of a C.S. Lewis quote that said, humility is not thinking of yourself, is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. And I thought, man, if I did that, that would save a lot of
dude,
dysregulation.
What you've talked about is actually integrated into the book because, and I've got a bunch of bonus articles online about this whole process of what humility does in relationships, the power of it. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Yes. That phrase is repeated over 35 times in Scripture, Old and New Testament. And story after story after story is of people who took a posture of pride and God humbled them. Think of Nebuchadnezzar, think of King David, think of Paul when he was Saul, right? He was opposing God and God opposed him. Road to Damascus blinded him with a light. 3 days later, scales come off. He now understands. He takes a posture of humility. God gives grace to the humble. And that process is, so here's what we have come to believe, Jim. That is not just a vertical principle. It is a horizontal one.
Absolutely.
So you, my brother, if I come to you in pride, Jim, what do you think you're doing? Your ministry, man, you are blowing it big time. What am I inviting you to do? Yep. Oppose me. And that will come in the form of blame, shame, control, or escape. Yep. Wow. We are inviting our spouses. When we blame, shame, control, escape them in pride, we're inviting them to turn around and do the exact same thing to us. We undo ourselves when we approach one another about the speck. But God's word teaches, same with him, works horizontal. When I approach my spouse in humility, and that's what I'm doing when I put on the 4 steps. Oh my gosh, hold on. I'm messed up. What's my pain? I feel inadequate. What am I doing? I'm turning it back on you. What's the truth? God tells me He loves me. I'm working on me. You love me. Or you're just sort of mad at me right now. It's okay. We're going to be all right. So step 4, okay, I'm going to calm down now. I'm going to hear you out. This whole thing is an act of humility. And what am I doing when my wife watches that humility in me? I'm inviting grace.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, she's responding differently. I'm responding differently. Her grace invites my grace. My grace invites her grace. That's bound to make for a better relationship.
Man. Guys, I hope you're listening to this. This is so important. I know we have these spats with our wives, and we've got to dive deep into why. I really want to encourage you to look into this stuff. This is great stuff. So, Ron, how do we, man, you're a great author. Your books are, most guys can get through them. They're not, 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
This has got some very practical applications. You're kind of moving away from the step parenting thing a little bit here.
That's
and
right.
moving into marriage. But hey, isn't that the same thing?
Yes.
In a lot of ways. So this is so good, man. So earlier you talked about getting a hold of so they could map their pain. Can you kind of help our guys to figure out how they can get a hold of this book and follow you and understand more about this dysregulation and how to work the 4 steps?
The Mindful Marriage is available wherever books are sold. So run to Amazon or your favorite store. Family Life is who I work for, the ministry. We've got it available. The workbook is in it. Like it's a read book, but then you're going to do some things. The exercises are built in. By the way, we put a second copy for your wife in the appendix of the book. So you've got 2 copies of the exercises. And for free, you can go online and get the bonus articles and another set if you want to work through the exercises again. It's a very self-contained process that will walk you through. We've got small groups that are popping up. Read and discuss. It is so rich. Again, I didn't come up with the principles. I'm communicating them on behalf of our therapist and the genius that's behind all of this, Terry and Sharon Hargrave. And so I know it works. I mean, I'm a living testimony of this thing. My life is so different. Nan and I mean, you're 21. If we had an argument, it went 2 weeks. And we never resolved it. We just sort of worked our way around it and decided we would just go back to life and sort of pretend. Now when we have something that pops up, because the same triggers happen this side of heaven, the pain doesn't stop. But what I do with it is my responsibility. And now I have a completely different response set. I know how she's going to respond in the new compared to the old. And things last a minute and a half. Like I can't tell you how incredibly different we are as individuals. Our commitment to one another has not changed. Our love for the Lord has not changed throughout this entire process.
Yeah.
But we are becoming new people, taking on the image of Christ and know how to implement that in our worst moments. That's key. That's where the transformation takes place.
Well, and that's the tragedy I see right now is you've got a couple, they've been married 10, 20, 30 years. They both love Jesus. But love is not all you need because they can't stand each other simply because they don't have the tools.
Jim, I've come to believe this love and safety thing, how we got to have both of those to have a healthy relationship. I've come to understand that when couples get divorced, people will say, well, they fell out of love. Yeah, no, well, actually what happened is they fell out of safety first.
Yes.
They didn't know how to be with one another. And then in the process of backing up, trying to control or escaping or just sort of getting quiet, going into Instagram or porn or whatever you escape into, they fell out of love. When we're rebuilding, by the way, with blended families, we tell people, build safety first because your stepchildren just need to know that they're okay with you, that they're safe with you.
Yeah.
They'll decide whether they love you later. But you don't start with love. You start with safety. If you're adopting a child, if you got a foster child, dude, your job is to build safety in that child's heart first. They may or may not love you at some point down the road, but they will not love you at all if they don't feel safe with you. So it depends on whether you're building or whether it's coming apart. So this love and safety thing is critical to every relationship we have. I can give you an example. You're working for a company and you got a person who, a colleague, and all of a sudden they're not pulling their weight. They're not doing their job. Guess what? You can't trust them. You don't feel safe with them. The company doesn't feel safe with them. Or they maybe misappropriated some funds, or they did something with some emails they shouldn't have done. All of a sudden, they're getting fired. You still like that person. You still love that person. It doesn't matter. If you don't have safety, you don't have anything.
Yep.
Same things happening in marriages, left and right. We got to build both of those things. And when it's the lack of that we end up reacting to. That's where the blame, shame, control comes out of me.
Yeah, this is so good, man. It's so boots on the ground.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, here's the science. Which, by the way, the science with the brain science, the last 5 years, the things we're learning, it's unbelievable. It's just so cool, and this brings it to earth, man. I sure appreciate you, man. And we're gonna get these guys. And well, we got a lot of women listening too. Yes. We're going to get them all sent over there, man. So, Ron, it's always great and refreshing to hear your voice and see your face, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Hey, make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app. A lot of guys just watch without subscribing, but the new follows helps us climb the charts. It's hard to climb them when you're already number one, so helps us to impact multiple men around the world. And it's time for you to give back simply by hitting that subscribe button if you like this episode. Also, hey, text the link to one of your buddies who might need a little bit of help in his marriage at this point. Until next time, feel the wet sand on the arena floor. Hear the deafening roar of the crowd. Taste the sweetness of victory. Smell the stench of battle. Get in the game. Get dirty. Grind it out. Build your marriage. And be a man.